What are God's works of providence? God's works of providence relate to the divine laws he has created, principally the law of free will mentioned in answer 12 and the intent behind creation. God's greatest work of providence is the capacity given to all beings to co-create and the potential for each free will conscious unit to ultimately experience the divine ecstasy of the timeless experience of all that was, is, will be, and could be with absolute wisdom, understanding, and love, as God does. What is God's providence towards the angels? The answer to this question is very similar to the previous and must be viewed in that context. Concisely, it could be said that 4D to 6D were conceived as a bridge between the gross physical and relatively spiritually desolate realms of the lower three densities and the ecstasy of communion with the divine. It provides a path of access for a soul to actualize the ultimate transcendent meaning of all life and find joy and wonder in its purpose. What was the providence of God toward man in the estate in which he was created? The source of the original souls that desired to step into the bodies designed by 4D STO existed in a non-differentiated ethereal state as a unified thought form, transiting all levels of reality as part of the outbreath of God and its ongoing disbursement of intelligent infinity. They were transient passengers structured by consciousness as part of the divine impulse for creation to know itself and maximize experience, incorporated into the 4D STO directive to spread the philosophy of STO and to evolve towards harmony with God by beautifying creation and filling it with life. To this end, the Nordics undertook the mission of seeding the biomes of different planets and designing their ecosystems. The objective was to facilitate the elevation of gross matter into spiritual consciousness, accelerating the learning rate for both. Teaching is the highest form of learning, and by educating simpler souls to function at their level and eventually be able to fill their shoes, the Nordics would be able to increase their learning even more, so that they could begin to fill the shoes of their creators. Maximizing one's value in service to others by optimizing learning in its context in which 4D STO guided humanity into its 3D cycle. The original human design had a similar paraphysical quasi-ethereal design to its 4D creators, albeit with certain locks applied, which would disengage at a certain predetermined times when the species had attained enough wisdom to use psychic abilities and powers responsibly. Learning in this Edenic environment was harmonious and beautiful, but somewhat slow and cyclical. The transient passengers that eventually incarnated into these bodies as individuated entities could be considered the super ancient spiritual ancestors of humanity.